Hey, it's Kathy, and it has been a long time since I posted a video on YouTube. I think late March to be exact, and I apologize. It has been an extremely trying time for my family and I and everybody else that lives on Mother Earth, and my planning system has changed, and I thought now would be a good time to go ahead and share this with you. I know previously a lot of my videos were surrounding the Hobonichi weeks and cousin as a part of my routines, and those are still in my life per se. They're on the bookshelf and I look over them occasionally. But with life changing and everything going on, I ended up changing my routine and planning systems. Excuse me, I ended up changing my planning routine in about mid-May. And so what I've come to use now is a traveler's notebook standard size. And that's what you see here. So today is going to be about this planner here and why I chose to use this as a part of my planning routine, and just answer any questions that you guys may have. I'm going to do a kind of a brief flip through, explain some of the items that I'm using, and in hopes to schedule some more videos about this particular planning style. Now, first and foremost, the cover for this is going to be the HandstichedleatherT, and like I said, in the standard size. This is a company that's based out of Ukraine, I believe. They have an online shop that I ordered this particular cover with a few customizations that you can select. So what I want to do is I'm going to talk through my planning system, what I got set up here, and then just kind of go through some of the setups within it. But basically, this particular cover, it has a pocket in the back here. It's a pocket in the front that you see here. I'm going to go ahead and open it now, and you'll see that we have a pocket here. There's a pocket here. And one, last one, actually two, sorry, in the back we have here. And here's actually the logo for the company that I purchased this from. So this is a beautiful cover that's very buttery in the hands. I love it. It's since it's something that I carry with me daily or always have on hand, I love the feel of this book. So it's definitely a good choice for me in covers for my standard traveler's notebook setup. But more importantly, let's get into the meat of my planning system. So the book that I'm using right now is going to be the A5 Stalogy that I've had cut to fit a standard size. Before I used the Hobonichi Weeks products and the cousin, I actually used a Stalogy for a good 8-9 month period last year. I didn't ever post any videos about it, but that was a book that I had used historically, and I found that as I was using the Weeks and the cousin, I love the Weeks and the paper is amazing for me, my preference, but the size, I was really having a hard time with the size of the book and how much I wanted to write on per page and so forth. But I was starting to miss the Stalogy. But the Stalogy that I used last year was a B6, and I'm not a fan of the thicker book for some reason. I don't know. I just, for everyday carry, I wanted a more narrow size. So I decided I had a A5 on hand, went to my local print shop. They cut it down for me for less than $1, and voila, this is what you see here. And I'll just show you a blank page so you can see this is the true Stalogy. I just kind of did a makeshift cover for it so I don't see just the black typical cover for this one. So that is what this first insert is. Now this is the half Stalogy, so you have the option of getting the full year per se. This was actually the half one, so it doesn't have all the pages that the traditional Stalogy has, but which is fine for me. I find that a couple of months into an insert or book, I have a tendency to have an itch for something else, and so I feel like that's appropriate for me. And at the end of this book, if I feel like I want to continue using this type of book, then I will, and if not, then I can easily migrate to something else and not have any guilt, because I struggle with that. I struggle with guilt and commitment issues with Stalogies. I'm sure we can all relate to that. For those of you that have committed to one and have been faithfully committed to one for 5 years, I so wish I could do the same, but I'm trying. So, and I'm taking you along the journey. So, all right. So here's the book. Like I said, this is going to be the meat of my planner, and I'll go through it, and we'll do a flip through together. I want you to see kind of what I have here. So I ended up, putting this cover together for the Stalogy. The first page here, I just have an emergency contact info and some style planner stickers that I wanted to make sure to use because the summer has been horrendous with the heat, and I wanted to make sure I used up some of these stickers here. This page I left blank. I think it was intended to be like an inbox section, kind of through the Getting Things Done method by David Allen. I wanted to have this kind of a blank page for that, or change it to something else. I obviously have not used it a whole lot just yet, but the next section is just a simple spread that I used for tracking my kids' attendance with school. Our school has been doing distance learning now since the end of July. My youngest, he's actually in special needs school, so it's a little different. He actually is going to school daily, but this is just something where I'm going to be logging attendance here on the bottom, and then here, depending on the schools, I'll be putting some information on this as far as start times, end times. A lot of it's still up in the air. Like, it's a lot of half days going on right now, so we don't know what the full schedule is going to be for the rest of the year, and maybe not. I don't know. I'm just kind of leaving this blank. It's a placeholder for now, depending on what the direction district goes with. So that's what this is for. Next page is future planning. I did do a lot of pre-planning, or excuse me, I did a lot of back planning when I decided to use this book. So I went through previous books, and I went through and I put in as much as I could. So I have, the everything that I wanted to keep track of in this view here for the start of 2020 in January, all the way through December of this year. I had this page dedicated for things that will be coming in 2021 that I don't have space for yet, but I figured with appointments and everything else, you can see I already have things coming up that I need to make sure I'm aware of for 2021. So I have, primary doctor visit for my husband. I have something already planned for February. I'm not writing it in there, but I'm at least putting a sticky note in there, and I'm just kidding. And then, of course, I have my March one as well. Let's see, moving on to the next page. I have a dedicated spread here for bills, and I have some color coding and whatnot. This is just something that I refer to, and I can see, where I'm at with our family finances. And then the next page is going to go to January of this year. As I mentioned a moment ago, I did do back planning. I at least did the work and said, okay, if I'm going to move forward with a new book, then please give yourself, me, the decency in having everything in one location, so that, or excuse me, for my sanity, to be honest with you, because I'll go crazy trying to find different appointments and things that I need to keep track of. So what I did, long story short, I did a monthly spread from January all the way through to December. And I went and I back planned everything. These are small Midori tabs that I used, and I went ahead and spaced them out perfectly. So if you do plan on using some small Midori tabs on the Stalogy, if you do 2 spaces in between each one, it will kind of line up pretty nicely across the view here. And as far as my monthly planning, here, let me just flip open here to this month. So if we have September 1st, holy moly, it's already September 1st. This is kind of how I do my planning. I always refer to my monthly spread first before I go into my weeklies and my dailies. A lot of the setup of what I have here, you'll notice it's very similar to the weeks and the cousin. I got my I got my monthlies set up first, and then I go into my weekly and my dailies. And I think that's maybe what I was kind of missing too from the weeks, is that having some daily pages in between the weeklies, more than just that one main page that you have on that right hand side. Of course, you have notes on the back, right? You have that. I ended up getting the mega because I do like notes. I just found that I prefer to have the notes kind of within the weeks, so they can easily be related to each other when I'm trying to reference back to any information. So, that was a bit of a tangent, sorry, about weeklies and monthlies and stuff. So that's my monthly spread. got my October month, November, December. I am trying to be rather simple in my design, using a few stickers in my stash that I have that I'm trying to get through. I also don't want to take away from the fun of decorating when that month comes around and I'm like, oh, I have something better that I want to use. So I'm trying to be simple there. So anyway, sorry, moving on. I left 2 blank spaces here because I wasn't sure if I wanted to actually draw out a calendar for 2021, and I don't think I'm going to. I think what I put up here in the future log is sufficient. What I put here is sufficient for me. So this is a tentative. We'll see what happens. I'm not sure. The next space, I have a tab here for it, which is what you see here, to-dos. I'm not going to read that first word out loud, but you see it there. It's going to be my master task list. So one of the things that I like to have is my task list. Now, what I've been doing over the last couple of months is I always have like a brain dump somewhere. I think before I put it in the back of the book for the weeks for notes. I just like having that one place where I can just do a brain dump every day or whatever I feel is necessary. And so what I decided to do before I went into like the daily, weekly plannings is I created a master task list. And what I did is I put the date of when I wrote those down. And then I'm using kind of like the bullet journal method in terms of whether or not I've actually completed that task or migrated or whatever I need to do. So I'm just keeping a running master task list, which I've started August 15th. And if it's a new day and I'm adding more stuff to the list, I put the date and I start my list from that point. And then this helps me see back, okay, look, I still have things from the 15th that I said I wanted to get done. Why haven't I done them? Either do them or know that, hey, I know it's not important yet, but I still got to keep it in my forefront. So there it is right there. And then the 2 pages after that are blank intentionally because I wanted to keep this going for the rest of the year. And my hope is that these pages, these 3 blank sides will be sufficient. But I can't promise that. And if it's not, I'm going to be tipping in paper in here because this is the half-size Stalogy. And when I set up this book, I put so much time and attention in getting this situated, and I really thought I was going to be able to use this for the rest of the year. Not doing the math right and page numbers and so forth. So I realized that I might have to add some more pages, and I'll show you what I did here in just a second. So that's my master brain dump and or master list that I have here. The next page, it dives right into weekly. So this was the first official week that I was in this book. Now, I said I started using a standard in May, but I was actually using a different insert. Now that I'm using a Stalogy and I'm feeling more confident in using the standard, that's why I'm recording the video now, wanting to talk through this with you. So boom, here's the week I started. Basically have a weekly spread. It's a little different than the weeks, but that's another thing that I miss about having a notebook for a planner is that you can create your own spreads, but not to get too crazy with the spreads because it's definitely not my style to be very elaborate. I like just to kind of have like a weekly view, and that's kind of what I did here. I had a freebie from the style planner, so I put that here just to refer back to it. So it's pretty simple weekly setup. It's just, across this way. And I'll show you here, actually, I change it up every week, just depending on what I'm feeling. We know how that is. And then after that is dailies. So here's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and we just go through and using up as much as of my stash that I can. Basically what I do is a time bar here on the far the far left-hand side, which Dakshana on YouTube and Instagram, she's the one that kind of helped inspire this for me, is that I like the time bar because I have a lot of things going on throughout the day. So I can visually see where my time is dedicated or not, or where I have free time. And then on the right-hand side, I actually do a little bit different, or I do a little bit of Planner Perfect method where I'm kind of scripting out my day in sections from morning, midday, and afternoon. So that's kind of what I've been doing for my dailies. Now, I do plan out the week already. So I pre-label. It's not I don't plan per day per se when it comes, or set up per day, excuse me. I try to lay out the foundation for the week so that I can go in and do what I need to do. And then this week, actually, what I did is I did a note. So after I set up my weeks, my days for that week, I went ahead and labeled the next pages to be like a note section. And so that's where you see here. And then we go into the next week. You'll see it's a little bit different. The previous one I had started with to-do list here, and then the days were here. I started with the Monday here, and then had a getting stuff done section here, which is ultimately pulls in from my master task list. It just depends on what I'm really itching for. Sometimes I want to have that weekly to-do list here, but then it's also kind of integrated into my dailies. It just depends. Nothing's ever set in stone with me, guys. I really like to just wing it and not really set any specific guidelines for myself when it comes to where I want my information to be stored in when it comes to the weekly and dailies. Then here is another Monday spread. Here I decided to I did a tip in from a notebook that I had that was the Hobonichi week size notebook. I wanted to list out things that I had to get paid, that need to be paid for that week. There you'll see I have some more scripting and scheduling, which is a little contradictory to what the whole planning the Planner Perfect method is, but it's just what I like. I like the visual here, and I like the scripting method, so it's a hodgepodge for me, but it works. All right, so here is the next day. And the next day, I have I don't need to go through all the details and bore you, but you can just see that pretty consistent with how I do my daily planning. One thing I'm sorry, I wanted to take a step back. So the first couple of weeks that I was using the Stalogy, I was doing 2 pages for one day. So I had the time bar and then scripting throughout. And then I had that note section in the back. Well, then I panicked because then I realized that this book doesn't have enough pages for me if I want to truly be dedicated to this book until the end of the year, which I feel like I'm capable of because it's 4 months left, and the longest I've been able to commit to anything in my life when it comes to planners is 6 months. So I'm pretty confident that I could do that if this book has enough pages for me. So anyway, I had 2-page spreads here and then the notes section. And then I decided to do 1-page notes. Or excuse me, I decided to do 1-page dailies. So this week that we're in, it's not 2 pages, it's 1 page per day. Because I panicked and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need more pages. So I did pre-planning and did 1 page per day this week just to kind of see how it feels to me. And then I actually did even a smaller page for the weeks the weekend, because there's really not a whole lot that I do on the weekend. Sometimes I want to script and sometimes I don't. So I figured for this week we're going to just do a half page for the weekend per day. Oh, that's right. But then I did decide to give myself a note section. What, baby? Santa? Yeah? Okay. All right. Sorry about that. So where was I? So 1 page for 2 days. Short note. And then I did give myself a note section for this week. And that would be because I decided to add pages to my Stalogy. I have an insert that had Tomoe river paper in it, and it was just sitting there nicely, not doing anything, so I decided to add it to my Stalogy. Now I'm going to ask you if you can see where those pages have been added. Do a quick flip there. Did you notice it at all? No? I hope the answer is no, because it took a lot of time and effort, and I felt pretty proud with how seamless the added pages are. But basically, you'll see this one here is actually not a traditional Stalogy paper because it has the dot grid. So this is a Tomoe river paper that closely resembles the Stalogy paper, except it's grid and dot grid. But yeah, I basically added a bunch of pages in here so I don't run out anytime soon. So let me just flip through here again one more time. I try to space them out as much as possible so it doesn't get weird on the binding. I don't really do a whole lot of tip ends, but here I want to show you real quick here. The binding seems to be holding pretty well, especially with the added pages. I really wanted to space it out so it wasn't top heavy on one side or the other. So, all right, so there is my main planning book is going to be this Stalogy here, and you'll see that it's chunking up quite a bit. I'm pretty excited about it. It feels pretty good. The next couple of inserts that I have in here are going to be the Paperandcats habit tracker. I just have a tab for it here, but basically I'm tracking things that I have to do anyway, but I just like to have visual checkboxes for that. So I track them here that are daily. And then I have some weekly items that I want to make sure are done at least once this week or once each day of the week. And then I have some monthly tasks. So here I keep track of finances for my mother-in-law. I just keep track of some of her bills for her because she has a hard time remembering. But yeah, and then so this is what the insert looks like blank. If you have not seen it before, this is the, you have the, when you go and you purchase from them, you can pick the size of insert and also the color of the book that you would like to use. And there is that information there if you would like to look them up. If you've never seen them before, I'm definitely not the first person that's used them. A lot of my planning routines come from other people as well. I'm just trying to find what works best for me. And so far this is. This is a dashboard that's kind of wrapped around here. Hold on a second. Sorry. So I got two dashboards here. These are FoxyFix dashboards. I had gotten them from like a mystery sale bundle a couple of months back, and they gave you like 1,000. And you're like, holy crap, what am I going to do with 1,000? Not really 1,000, but I have a lot. So I decided to use this one here to cover the habit tracker, and I got some sticky notes that I will be using. And this one is just a folder that I made to keep track, to hold all of the stickers that I am using. All right, so those are the main pieces of what I have kind of inside the inserts. When you order from this company, you can opt for more bands. I just wanted two, so I wanted to keep this kind of somewhat confined. So that's going to be on those two bands here. And the last one is going to be my reference book. A lot of the inspiration behind this is going to come from a couple other YouTubers really go into detail with what they use their reference book for. And so I decided to adopt that as well. I'm not going to show you a flip through of the book itself, but basically I just kind of insert that into the back of the book cover. This is Tomoe paper, so it's very thin. I will show you one thing here. I have holidays and lists here, and then I just kind of have this as my perpetual calendar, among a whole lot of other things that I keep in here. But this is one of my favorite additions to my planning system. All right, and that basically concludes what I'm using now as a part of my everyday planning. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them below. I'm also on Instagram. It's something that I'm learning how to use more often. It's catvishplans on Instagram. You're welcome to reach out to me there and message me if you would like. Appreciate you guys stopping by, and I hope to talk with you soon and hopefully have some more videos coming out there. If anything specifically you'd like to see from me, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to accommodate those requests. So take care, and you have a wonderful day.